There are few things in Magic as exciting as a 1-mana 12/12 Trampler. Welcome back, vintage gamers, to a fun little exercise I have going on here. There's a lot of talk about how all your decks need to start with Lurrus, Lurrus Saga, Force of Will, Wasteland, Ancestral, and Time Walk. It's probably pretty close to true. So I'm going to take that premise and we're going to play some fun cards today. I like one of the things I really like about Vintage is that you actually do get to play with lots of individual fun cards as long as you put them in an existing and powerful shell. This used to be true primarily with Tinker decks. You would play some kind of normal, very standard Tinker shell and then throw in some fun blue cards. Now, maybe the formula is a little different. Maybe the formula is Lurrus Saga, Wasteland, and Force of Will, and then you play whatever you want, within the restrictions, of course, of the Cat Nightmare. So, we're going to play a deck that synergizes with those things today, with a Dreadnought deck. Stifle not, but no stifles. Instead, we're playing cards that are good with Lurrus. So, Phyrexian Dreadnought, for those of you who are unaware, a 1-mana 12/12 Trampler. I know, crazy stats. The drawback here is that when it ETBs, you have to sacrifice any number of creatures with total power 12 or greater. So, what we need to do is stop this ETB from happening. There are lots of different ways to do that in Magic, even a new one coming out in this next set. I'm not sure the one in the next set is going to be better than the current options, but it's definitely something to consider. I think it's called like Doorkeeper Thrall or something similar to that. So, the ways we are going to make it so our Dreadnought trigger does not happen are Dress Down. Really powerful, catch-all answer, great in the format, great against Thassa's Oracle, kills off Lurrus Saga tokens, blue card for Force of Will, recursion with Lurrus. Dress Down is a perfect way to make sure that when if you have a Dress Down in play and the Dreadnought enters, you do not even have to sacrifice anything. Perfect. The second way, we're going to play with Strict Proctor. This is the #1 way that I can tell from Legacy to stop this trigger and also have some effects against the rest of the format. So whenever a permanent enters the battlefield, any permanent, and causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So we can just simply not pay 2 and we'll get this ability countered. And because this is a detrimental for us, it's actually a good thing. And we just will have a 12/12 Trampler for 1. This has some additional implications across the field. You have things like Coveted Jewel. Coveted Jewel is an enter the battlefield trigger that would make the opponent have to pay 2 to get their cards. So that's pretty powerful. We're gonna have to watch and see across the way as we go and see how effective this is, because there are like I said, there are a lot of ways you can play this card and a lot of creatures as well. Let me just bring up Hushbringer. I just want to show people so they know that there are other options here. From what I can tell, the common consensus is Strict Proctor is the way to go. But I just want to show some other choices. The biggest one I think is Hushbringer. Hushbringer is a 1/2 flying lifelink that doesn't creatures entering the battlefield or dying do not cause abilities to trigger. So Proctor is any permanent. So you have some wider things there. Thinking about things like Coveted Jewel and what's the other one? Things like Soul Guide Lantern. But here are some creatures that read don't cause abilities to trigger. So Hushbringer obviously fits the Lurrus, whereas Griff does not. Honor Guard is simply creatures and is a 1/3 not flying lifelink. So definitely there's no reason to play Honor Guard because we don't have humans or soldiers, Cavern of Souls. And then we have Torpor Orb, which is something people have played in the past, of course. That one has a different set of problems where it's not a creature. So maybe it's a plus sign against removal, but a downside against things like Seal of Cleansing or something. And then here's the new one that I was talking about, Doorkeeper Thrall. Doorkeeper Thrall is a 1/2 flash flyer. So pretty nice to have the flash tie on. And then this is creatures and artifacts don't cause ETBs. So Is it better to just simply turn off all creatures and artifacts abilities, or is it better to have this more wide-ranging permanence or pseudo-countered unless opponent pays 2 or player pays 2? You know, for our own Soul Guide Lantern, being able to pay 2 may be worth it. So something to think about, something to keep an eye on throughout this league. Is this the best choice? We'll find out. Anything else interesting in this shell? No, basically what I did is I took a powerful blue-white Lurrus shell. I made the changes to the Lurrus shell that I think I would make if I were to play the blue-white Lurrus deck. Those changes are things like no Lavinias. I don't think this deck actually has mana to suit to play Lavinia. Full Moxen, because I think your Lorien Reveal deck should be playing full Moxen. I am on 2 swords, 2 negation instead of something like 4 swords, 4 negations. 3 bombles instead of 4 bombles. These are all just small changes that I personally would make if I was playing a blue-white Lurrus Saga deck. And the rest of the deck is, you know, pretty straightforward. So we're going to try to put some 12-12s into play while playing a blue-white control strategy, and we'll see how it goes. See you in round 1. Are you interested in weekly vintage metagame recommendations? Do you want to see your deck list played on my channel? Or maybe you are just looking for the best way to support my vintage content. Make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description below. Let's battle. All right, we're in here for round 1 with our Dreadnoughts. I have a Lurrus. I have a Dreadnought, a Force, a Lotus, some lands, and a Wasteland. Now that is certainly a hand that provokes thoughts. The nicest part about this hand is we are 1 mana away from just going Lotus Lurrus stuff. We don't have a blue card for Force. We have a Wasteland covering a few things. But we have Hardcast Force, I guess. So I think this is probably a keep because we have Hardcast Force. We don't know what our opponent's on. We have a Wasteland that covers a variety of decks. Hardcast Force should cover a variety of decks. So I kind of think there's something okay about this hand. I don't know. Like, obviously, we would rather the Dreadnought not exist unless we draw a way to get it into play. Maybe we would rather have 1 less land and 1 more blue card or something, but I think it's enough. So it is Bazaar, so we're thankful we kept a Wasteland hand. Wasteland is our best way to beat Bazaar. One problem with Dreadnought as our main threat is it's an artifact, which there's a lot of decks have the ability to destroy artifacts easier than 12-12 Tramplers. So not going to force this grief. I'll let them take either the grief or the Dreadnought. They can't take the Wasteland, which is the one thing that matters. And we already have the Lotus in play, so we can't get that taken away. So I guess we can get it Vigored, but all right. So the Dreadnought is gone. The Dreadnought can just be returned with Lurrus, so that's not even a huge deal. Once we get Lurrus, we might even be able to get this Dreadnought back. Do we want to force the hollow one? That's a question. We force the hollow one. We're so many turns away from Lurrus. I mean, Wasteland puts us a lot of turns away from. Yeah, I think we don't want to force the hollow one because we want to get Lurrus 2 hollow ones. All right, I think 2 hollow ones is too many, considering I have to Wasteland my opponent this turn. Surprised they took the Dreadnought and not the Force, but maybe they're not worried. They only have 1 card left in hand. Hopefully it's not Noxious Revival. Obviously now we are a couple turns away from Lurrusing, but not that far. And we have the time as long as their 1 Dredger doesn't hurt us too badly. They have Noxious Revival as their 7th card. Sick. Man, how does one deck beat Dredge? I don't know. Seems quite hard. Noxious Revival is not a card that was played a lot, and from what I remember, but God, is that card good against Wasteland. Time Walk. I kind of need to Time Walk because I don't think I'm getting a Lurrus in time. I mean, this doesn't. Nothing helps me, right? They just have lethal on the table. A Proctor. I can play a Proctor and block and take lethal. Sick. All right, awesome. I mean, I guess it's a big ask to beat Dredge in game 1, but like, good God. Okay. Worth noting, our deck is pretty bad against Dredge in general because we don't have ley lines in our sideboard. You can put ley lines in the sideboard and make it better. I also have a little bit limited number of containment priests just because I wanted to fit some other options in a format where you're kind of discouraged to play Dredge and Bazaar of Baghdad. I guess Dredge is the best of the 3 Bazaar of Baghdad decks, but with the number of Wastelands in the format, Wasteland is like one of the most played cards in the entire format. It's up there, I think, with Force of Will as one of the most played cards in the entire format right now. Where do I see that? I can find that information somewhere. Cards. Popular cards. Vintage. Top lands. Wasteland is the second most played percentage-wise and the highest and the most played land in Vintage. 64% of decks have Wastelands in them, and they're averaging 3.8 Wastelands per deck. Oh my god. Wasteland is so crazy. That's wild to me. And then if you put it into the top cards overall category, this looks like it's still pretty far. Maybe they don't have lands in that category, actually. Not sure. But that's wild. Like, 74% of decks are playing Force of Will, and 64% of decks are playing Wasteland. So, just something to think about. Negation is obviously bad here. Dress Down is like a lot worse. Spell Pierce is like good at protecting us from Vigor, but I don't know if that's exactly what we want to do. We probably still want to have Mental Misstep as an option to hit their thing. Noxious Revival. Kind of think these Delve spells are worse than playing like more swords. I think playing swords is just like good here in general. So let's just drop some of these cards. I guess at this point our forces are kind of garbage. Can we just like drop forces entirely? We could play Spell Pierce instead of Force. Spell Pierce doesn't hit Grief. We can play Seal, which kills a hollow one, and another put the Dress Down back in. That might just be better. I don't know. You might need Force so that you can't get your Saga Vigored or something, but I don't know. It's just not very good against my opponent's deck. So there's a Strip Mine and a Cage. So like here's an instance where a Force would be pretty good. But I also like drew a lot of blue cards, and there's like not that many blue cards left in my deck after we start boarding out forces and stuff like that. So this game will actually produce an interesting choice because we have a cage, but we can't protect our cage. If we were to pass, we could get our cage taken. I mean, we just always have to jam our cage without protection, right? And then from there, it's just we have a Strip Mine for their first Bazaar, and we just hope it's good enough, right? Yeah. Not great. I mean, this matchup has got to be atrocious, I would say. I didn't really put the cards I needed to in my sideboard to have a good Dredge matchup. Like, we have 5 cards for anti-Bazaar, and like, is that enough? I guess we do have 5 Wastelands, but they kept 7 again. Not great. I don't actually know if they kept 7 in game 1. I just like saying that, though. It's like a very nice complaint equity thing to say. Ah, man, they kept 7 again, you know? So my opponent didn't have a counterspell for this, but they can get Vigored. But if I get to my next turn, I'll have Spell Pierce up to get for Vigor, though Spell Pierce is like worse than having a Flusterstorm, obviously. All right, well, the good news is nothing's coming into play. The bad news is cards are still going in their yard. Hollow ones can still enter. All those things. Yeah, Hollow one. I've got a lot of answers to Hollow one now, though. So hopefully not a problem. Wasteland. But I mean, this thing kills pretty fast. 5 turns. Is this going to be Noxious, or is it going to be Vigor? Noxious. And this is why we kept Mental Misstep in. Mental Misstep, my Mental Misstep. Spell Pierce, you're Noxious. I think it's better to just gain value off of my Spell Pierce now, because at any point they could grief us and take the Spell Pierce anyways. Like, the one thing that keeping the Spell Pierce does is it helps us protect us from Vigor, but I don't know. We are kind of just interested in... Oh, I don't like the play I just made. I didn't think about it. What I could have done here was play Brainstorm and then use my Strip Mine to get my Tundra, and that would actually be a shuffle effect. Pretty big misplay, actually. I was just thinking I'm like getting Lurrus anyways. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to use this now because I'm going to spend 3 mana to get Lurrus next turn anyways, so... So I guess if I get Lurrus and then they grief my Lurrus, it's like kind of bad, right? I don't know. I really wish I had sequenced this in the other way where I had brainstormed and, oh, they just have another Noxious. All right. Saga Gaming is good here until I get Vigored, right? I think I would rather just hit all my land drops. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? I just want to get a Saga in play. I don't know if I have enough time. The good news is they have to kind of answer Saga and Lurrus, so that could be challenging. Like, they have to have, like, a Wasteland or a Vigor and a Counterspell or a Grief. And we do have a Strip Mine for a Bazaar. Because if not, I could just, like, simply not play Lurrus this turn. I can't bring anything back with Lurrus, so I might as well just make a chump blocker, right? I guess you don't really want to make a chump blocker because we can almost... If the Saga completes itself, it'll be large enough. Though this Stress Down will become not playable, so... Small things. So there's the Grief. It's going to take the Lurrus. So now if they have a Grief and a Wasteland, we're in trouble. That was the problem with putting Lurrus in my hand, but this Saga makes things a lot better. I wonder if I'm even supposed to Wasteland. Probably supposed to keep this Lorien revealed and cast it. I think I'd rather them just not have a Bazaar, though, right? All right, so I can go to 2 and then make 2 constructs. I'm not actually sure that's better. It's going to be a really long time until I cast this Lorien revealed. I'd like to be able to cycle this Dress Down. I have so many swords in my deck. I think it's better to just chump. Oh, I guess Grafdigger's Cage also does not stop. Grafdigger's Cage does not stop the freaking not sickening shoal. The pew pew thing. Creeping Shell. My opponent had a removal spell. So if my opponent dredges into a Creeping Shell, that's a problem. Don't really know how to solve that problem, really. Because I just got I was going to chump, and that would have kind of solved the problem, but my opponent had a removal spell as their last 2 cards, so... Alright, so here we get a Construct, and then we get a Lotus, so we can play Lorien this turn. Oh, I should have got a Soul Guide Lantern. That would have solved my problem. Justin, you're so bad at this game. Soul Guide Lantern would have absolutely solved the problem here. Containment Priest does not solve the problem. Wow. Okay, so, I mean, if my opponent hits a Creeping Shell, I lose, and it's my fault. Not great. They did not hit a Creeping Shell, but I also don't have any answers at the moment still. I need to find that Soul Guide Lantern that I could have found. Justin. I can also find a sword on my own creature. All right, bobble myself. Dreadnought. I mean, Dreadnought ends the game pretty fast. So I can go Dress Down into Dreadnought. I just think that they're going to kill me. Yeah. I can draw swords here still, and swords my own Dreadnought. I didn't draw any of my swords, so they dredge 5 and kill me here. Dang, I just threw the whole game, though. Like, it was an easy Soul Guide. Oh, They're just not hitting. Maybe they boarded them out. You never know. Definitely feels like this game was a Justin problem, though. So this is a lethal attack, but it's not a good enough attack. I still need to draw swords, or I didn't draw anything. Not much I can do besides attack, and my opponent's dead on board, but they have another Dredge 5 if they have Creeping Chill in their deck. Yeah, I mean, not much I could really do. I mean, there was exactly what I could have done. We know exactly the mistake that was made, Justin. Don't act like there's nothing you could do. Play better is what you could have done. Try Dredge 5. Yep, they found the Creeping Chill on the last turn here. It's my own fault. It's definitely my own fault. All right, well, sometimes I suck. All right, round 2, coming off the back of a winnable game that I threw away for fun. It looked like a keep to me. There's a lot of sequencing choices here. I think I just like presenting Saga. This like makes things a little awkward. Because I want to have a strict Proctor in before my Saga resolves. I guess that's not that bad, right? Because the next turn I could go... No, I don't have double blue, double white. This might have just been wrong, really. I wanted to advance my Soul Ring, so it made sense to me to use the Saga, but maybe I was supposed to go Tundra Soul Ring. I mean, if they tinker me, like... Walk. I mean, that'll be a huge... I mean, I don't think there was a world where I was going Tundra Pass, hold up Spell Pierce. I feel like that is just losing to too many decks. Like, if my opponent plays a Bazaar or something like that, but this is, like, kind of awkward to the point where I can't actually do two things at the same time, which probably means it was a bad play. They're just tinkering me with Fluster backup. Okay. I assume that's what the case is if they're going to play the land before resolving Tinker, but... Shit. I mean, this is basically the one thing you really want to see Spell Pierce for is, like, some kind of combo deck. Delve. Yeah, sure. This league has not gone very well. Definitely... I just don't think I'm ever going Tundra Pass, right? Like, I'm just always playing Soul Ring, advancing my board. If my opponent turn 1 tinkers me, they turn 1 tinker me. Right? I mean, there was no way I was spell piercing the crypt anyways. So if they're like, I could have spell pierced the Time Walk. But like they played a land, so that pretty clearly represents they had Fluster or they just made a mistake. I don't know. Feels really hard to play Pierce Pass in the metagame. It just doesn't make sense to do that. It's definitely a conservative line, but I mean, if they like find a Sensei's Top, we die. I mean, we die to most things here. It's pretty ballsy to just go. I guess they have a Flusterstorm up. I was gonna say pretty ballsy to just be jamming Tinkers. Tinker is a card that has not done well in the new metagame. Tinker used to be a card people talked about banning, not restricting, because restricting it didn't do anything, just like straight up banning it. But now Tinker decks are all basically terrible. Like there is obviously Tinker is in Jewel, but I wouldn't consider Tinker deck to be a Jewel deck. Or sorry, Jewel deck to be a Tinker deck. It's just a deck that has Tinker in it. Like the previous like Saga based Tinker shells and PO shells were very heavily play around like tutoring for Tinker and playing Tinker as your main way to win the game. I guess technically some Oath lists have Tinker in them as well. Those decks are actually a little bit more oriented. What is going on? My opponent has a lot of blue cantrips and 2 islands and Tinker. Oh, they must be the Thought Lash combo deck. People have been playing some wild stuff recently in leagues. Looks like I'm gonna die. Oh, they just went for Ancestral. Okay. I mean, the likelihood my opponent doesn't have 100 counter spells at this point is very low. I assume I'm getting like Thoughts' Oracle mono blue combo killed, which is definitely. I don't even know if that's a deck I would hold up. If you told me my opponent was on this deck, I don't think I would hold up Spell Pierce because they're not a turn 1 combo deck. I am surprised to see Tinker. That's kind of a new addition, I would think. Because look at these. There's 4 Preordains, and it's a cantrip deck. They're at 7. How do I win this game? Yes. Discard to hand size. How do I win this game? Don't feel like Spell Pierce does anything. Is the answer just Time Walk? What did I lose to last game? I was tunnel visioned on casting Lorien when I could have just tutored for the card that wins the game. Nice. Solid play. Black Lotus. Well, that makes everything a lot easier. Might even win the game on the spot. Oh, I tapped badly, didn't I? I should have floated blue. Well, no, I can't Spell Pierce, so that doesn't matter, right? But now I can't play Spurt Prospector. All right, well, I think we pay for this. Because then I have Spell Pierce online. Technically, don't have make a construct though. So yeah, I don't have a white mana to play my stupid Strict Prospector. I keep calling it Skirk Prospector. I don't know why. It's not a goblin. It's a Spirit Cleric. Strict Proctor. Skirk Prospector. Strict Proctor. Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, fine. I mean, I'm gonna probably like use my Spell Pierce if they like force this because what else am I really doing? The problem is I can't go get my lethal threat, though I guess everything is kind of a lethal threat at this point. So they pitched Mental Misstep. I have Spell Pierce. They have another... Why didn't you just use the Flusterstorm? Why would you pitch your Force? Force looks so good here. I mean, this is kind of what I expected to be in their hands, considering they didn't kill me. Just mono counter spells. They did pitch a Mental Misstep. So if they had just flustered again, it would have automatically worked. I don't know. I don't know the logic. I feel like force counters more things, but... All right, so I kind of expected this, but we'd made an attempt here and see if they kill us with 6 life and 4 cards and blue mana. Oh, Vault Lash like exiles cards off the top, right? So it's like pretty good with Bolas' Citadel. It's kind of cute. I guess most cards in Magic are good with Bolas' Citadel, to be fair. Paradigm Shift. Okay. So they have an Oracle in their hand. So they don't actually have Thought Last. They just have Paradigm Shift. I think that's what I had too. And then when they're running, they were just running like one set of Full Moxen to play Tinker Portal, Tinker Citadel. Old. They're at 4. They need to like... They don't have a second Paradigm Shift, right? So... Oh, they do. Okay. Well, I guess that means we're dead. I assume. Yeah. Okay. That's cute. It's kind of wild to play Tinker off of 5 Moxen, Mana Crypt, no Soul Ring. I don't know. That doesn't even fit, like, even Brian Kelly was playing like 8 artifacts that you could tinker off of when he was doing his very suspect Brian Kelly things. I'm not gonna bring in things that kill that. Cage, Lantern might have some play. I have 3 dress downs in my deck. This matchup should be great. This matchup should be just fantastic, actually. I don't even think I need this Lantern. If they bring in like Murktides or something, that would make me feel bad about not having swords, but I guess I could theoretically cut some wastelands because they're on mono islands. I didn't. Yeah. I still don't think, even if I knew my opponent's deck list, if I knew what I know now, I still wouldn't have held up Spell Pierce. I would have definitely just played my Saga plus Soul Ring and advanced the board. So, Time Walk, you got it. Sapphire Time Walk, mono blue deck, yeah. Good. Oh yeah, apologies, of course, as always, for the not beautiful Dreadnoughts. The beautiful Dreadnoughts cost like 10 tickets each, and the not beautiful Dreadnoughts cost like 0.1 cent each. A tenth of a cent. Sometimes it's not worth it. Jeez, Black Lotus, Sapphire, go. Oh, I just F6 for no reason. Just it's fine. I hit my land drop anyways. Never didn't have it. I don't think putting Lurrus in my hand does anything in comparison to like helping play around Flusterstorm. My opponent certainly has a powerful draw. It's got some of its best cards in their deck. 4 cards in hand. 8 million mana. If they were to Paradigm Shift now, feels like I would let that resolve. All right, I'm gonna cycle. I'm not gonna buy Lurrus. Just don't feel like it does anything besides tap me out. Almost. I just am gonna get flustered out of this game though. It's kind of like playing against bad Doomsday. Interestingly. All right, well, here I think I will buy Lurrus. We're getting to quite to the point of we have a lot of mana. Obviously, I just opened myself up to getting Flusterstorm this way, but I do have to pressure my opponent or they just like cast a bunch of cantrips and kill me. Also, if they like force this Lurrus, it's quite good for us. Huh. All right, well, I'm not going to play the Lurrus here because I have lots of options. I have Dress Down, which is good against their deck. Great for my deck as well. So it actually is something to do if they don't do anything. Dress Down is so good in these kind of matchups. Not that these kind of matchups typically exist, but... What do you got for me? Paradigm Shift? Sure. I mean, I have like double force, Dress Down, pass. How many oracles do they have? 1 oracle, 2 oracle, 1 oracle. All right, well, there's no real point in trying to beat them down anymore. I am just going to look to try to beat them at the counter spells, We know that the 4 cards they put into their library have no counter spells involved. It's a Time Walk, it's 2 fetch lands, and a something else. What was the 4th card? The Time Walk, 2 fetch lands, and what? I don't know. Just need to beat their 1 Thassa's Oracle, so... It's weird. It's like Doomsday. It's just mono blue Doomsday. Which is fun, I guess. What is this? Oh, classic. I play that in PO sometimes. There shouldn't be any lands in their deck to fetch, right? So, fail to find. I guess if they have another paradigm shift, then they can like do it again or something, right? Hardcast Force. It's like better for me to fight the Force and have the dress down resolve because I'd rather the Oracle not go into their graveyard. This is fine. So do they have double Fluster backup? I guess I can look, maybe. Mental Misstep, Fluster Storm. Mental Misstep is gone. All right, well. Okay. It's kind of fun when Doomsday / this deck does that and you get to just do the thing. Oh, I guess Soul Guide Lantern, if you... I mean, they'll never cast it in play unless they want you to break it, but maybe that's, like, worthwhile. I just like trying to figure out if this is, like, actually worth playing, and maybe it's fine. Oh, wait, I want to take out a Wasteland. That's what I can do. I can trim a Wasteland when my opponent has 0 Wasteland targets. That's a nice part about playing all islands, too, is you just don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about Wasteland, the best deck in the the best unrestricted card in the format. I guess that's forcible. The best unrestricted lane in the format. There we go. Yep, that's a hand. I guess it like takes away their ability to like shift and pass the turn, maybe. Kind of weird, all things considered. We have a great hand here where I can do a Brainstorm and use Lorien as a fetch land and just put this back in my deck, which I think is better than like putting it in play and having it pseudo counter / it's not even counter, it's like slows them down, right? And sometimes it probably even helps them if they have like too many cards in their yard. What? Stop playing Black Lotuses. Yep. The old Lotus Merchant Ancestral line. Classic. I guess we get to have to get rid of our Brainstorm. Because I will lose this and the Brainstorm. Okay, all right. They are taking notes from Doomsday. I'm thinking we're just casting this Lorien Revealed as 5 mana, draw cards. I guess we can just go Lurrus. That might even be better. Yeah, it's probably better. I guess if they kill us, we can't do much about it. All right, turn 1 Lurrus. Rebuy Lotus. Well, I guess we're going to put the Lantern in play. Get rid of the Ancestral. I don't know if the Lantern does anything here, but next turn we can rebuy Lotus and play Lorien, so... Because, like, if I were to Lantern in response to a paradigm shift here, they could just, like... I guess they would not be able to play a Thassa's Oracle and they would die, so... Oh, did they immediately draw a Dig Through Time and Sick. Got him. 2 fetch lands, huh? All right. Well, yeah, okay. Black Lotus. Are we thinking about countering the negating the Black Lotus, getting our way forever? No. Cast Lorien. 5 mana, draw 3. Except it's more like a 2 mana, draw 3. Kind of broken when you think about it. Man, we were savagely outdrawn in these games. It's not like my opponent was like sitting around and casting Preordain. They were just jamming power. Not sure I can complain about how badly I played in this one, because this one seems fine. Last game was not good. This game, though, pretty reasonably played, I would think. Just off. So, like, right now, if my opponent would Paradigm Shift, there's absolutely no reason to even Soul Guide Lantern. Because it's not helping. Oh, no, it is still helping, because unless they were holding Sapphire, and they had, like, land Sapphire. Because they don't have Black Lotus left. I have to remember they have to cast Nonsense Oracle immediately with blue, which probably doable, but... So I'm just sitting here like, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I have no idea. I kind of feel like Lantern's a card you might play in your own deck so that you can like get rid of all the cards in your yard and easily Oracle, right? So it kind of feels like it's helping, not hurting. So I'm just gonna cantrip it. You can always buy it back if I want. Also, I need to find force, right? Like, I kind of am in trouble. I mean, they're about to die, so they're kind of in trouble too, but not as much trouble as me, who has no counter magic, right? But they missed a land drop, actually. That makes it kind of hard because they've already used their Black Lotus, so it kind of makes it hard to Oracle combo, right? There's their land. So they still couldn't Oracle combo right away unless they had a Sapphire. All right, so this is going to be Saga token and draw. Need to find force. Something. Lorien revealed. I think. So can I get lethal here? If I had, I'm at 7. I'm at 8. I'm at 9. If I hadn't cracked my Soul Guide Lantern, I had lethal attacker. Justin, how bad are you at this game? Huh. Yes, if I had not cracked my Soul Guide Lantern, I would have had a lethal attacker. Wow. All right. Well, didn't consider that. Oh, they can't fetch anymore. So let's draw 3. Sure. I think I'd rather hold up Lotus Pierce than they also can't have Force of Will anyways. Yeah, I mean, clearly the answer was I should not have cracked my Soul Guide Lantern, instead just went for 10 power. Man, I was just talking about how I didn't play badly, and then all of a sudden I played terribly again. Who let this guy in? Repeal? Okay, well, if they had a repeal, which we don't know if they had a repeal or not, then this play ends up being better for me, so there's a small upside there. I was thinking, like, could they play Repeal or Dress Down and make it bad for me to go all in on Construct tokens? All right, they're off it. Got there. All right, nice fast queues today. You like to see it. Hopefully we'll get a nice video in. Yeah, seems fine. Lots of options. Card selection. If I go 4-1 and don't trophy because I played badly against Dredge, I'll be so sad. Also, this is probably the next video that will come out after the Niv Miss It trophy, which is now like one of my best performing videos of all time after I clickbaited the title with the trophy stuff. Such is life, I guess. Kind of makes me feel like I mean, not that I trophy very much. I trophy like 2 or 3 times a season. The decks I play are not very good, and I don't play a lot. But it does make me feel like if I win a tournament or top 8 or trophy, maybe I'll finally just cave and do the spoilers in the title, because it's just so much. It's just so much. And like the one person who goes on a crazy rant and is mad, or like, you know, the 50 people who are sad or disappointed is like, unfortunately, just not as important as the 2,000 extra people who watch the video. Like, I'll show you something while we're waiting for our opponent here. It's crazy. It's like, it's just so wild. Views are up 44%. This is the video. So it was underneath the curve for the first hour, so I changed the title, and then immediately it went, and now it's just the best performing video. So such is YouTube. I hate it personally, so I get it, but might make a change in how we do things around here. So I kept the Sapphire on top because I wanted to be able to play a Proctor and Wasteland this turn if I needed to. Now I think the answer is, God, if I get Hull Breachered, it's so bad. I don't think I'm allowed to. I don't think I'm allowed to brainstorm here into a possible Hull Breacher with no force, right? It just looks terrible. So let's just play a thing, keep our fetch land available. If we can maybe draw a blue card at some point. They didn't play anything, so. Basic Island Lotus, no Lurrus. Workshop. Okay, so it's Jewel. I'm glad I have Force. Glad I have Wasteland for Saga as well. I mean, they're deploying the fleet here. If they went Island Lotus go, well, not much I can really do besides. The good news is I actually have this interacts with Jewel, right? They have to play 8 mana for a Jewel, and then every Jewel after that they still have to do stuff. So actually, this card is pretty sick against Jewel. The other card, the new card, the Doorkeeper Thrall, will be even better against Jewel because it will just always make it not trigger. But like I said, I'm not sure if Strict Proctor or the other one is like better or worse in the whole. I'll have to like look at the format and like look at ETBs that are being played. This is a Metamorph. Metamorph is not an ETB. Well, it's like it like enters as a copy, so it should just enter as a copy, and this is not a thing that matters because this is about causing abilities to trigger, not things. But I guess if my opponent just POs, like, it's pretty bad for me. That's what it looks like is happening, right? It'd be hard for them to play a Jewel here. Yeah. All right. Well, I have a Force. They have a hard cast Force off of their Lotus. No. They have a second PO. They have so much blue mana compared to the normal Jewel draw with a Island and an Opal and a Lotus. Okay, they're just untapping. Sure. Another Workshop. There's no point in hitting these Workshops with Wasteland. I would rather just hold it for a Saga. Dress Down. Dress Down does interact well with Metamorph, against Metamorph. Let's play Wasteland Proctor, which is going to make Jewel even worse, and then hold up and dress down. Again, I am losing here to PO. 3 POs left in their deck. I'm losing here. I'm not really losing here to Tinker. So... This Jewel. All right, so my opponent has to pay 4 or the Jewel ability is countered. They can easily pay 4. They have 6, 10, 14 mana. So here a Thrall would have just turned this off completely. But this is actually giving me an opportunity to win if my opponent doesn't draw a PO. Because future Jewels will be challenging to work through, and I actually have Metamorph turned off. So it's really just PO, and then if they don't find anything, I can just attack with these Proctors and steal the Jewel. Just not even trigger. That's a triggered ability, not based on entering, so I would even get that. So kind of interesting. I would say from here, it looks like the Thrall would be better, right? The Thrall would definitely be better against this. Just like giving them no chances to win, whereas this gives them chances, right? Key. This gives them opportunities to win the game. POs are all lethal. So maybe they'll think about metamorphing because they have the ability to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 mana. Oh wait, 8 mana is not enough. Yeah, 8 mana is enough. So if they go metamorphing here, then we have Dreadnought covering it. So this metamorph, they'll be, yeah, so they're going to metamorph. And then we can actually have metamorph covered. I guess that exposes me to Tinker because these will be turned off. But I feel like this is worth it. All right. So, yeah, I mean, if they have like Mox Jewel or Tinker now, can lose from there, but might have put ourselves in a position to steal this Jewel. I don't even know if stealing Jewel is technically winning. We do need to draw some forces off of it, but we have some in our deck, so. Kind of wild, huh? Interesting. Super interesting. All right. So maybe I should have wastelanded a workshop. I wonder if I'm supposed to bobble before I steal a Jewel. All right, well, now we have a force. I'm just going to double waste. Just prevent the things from happening. They actually can't actually use... I guess they can make constructs. I don't even know if I care about constructs realistically, right? It's my top card. Dreadnought. If I had a second blue card, I'd buy Lurrus and play Lurrus, but I don't have a second blue card, so Dreadnought is fine. I guess they do have enough to make Saga tokens. Maybe double wasteland was bad. I don't know. It just felt like I should restrict the 6 mana that I can restrict. They can just untap monoliths. I don't know. I'm actually kind of thinking maybe I played this game a little too fast and needed to think more about it. That's always a balance I have when I'm making content. It is good to analyze and think about decisions, but it's also good to have fast and useful content. This is going to draw them, whatever. Too many cards. Who the hell's calling me? Nobody calls me. All right, my opponent is off it. I like stealing a jewel. Stealing a jewel is a good feeling. All right. So I think I like the idea of seal in this matchup. I like the idea of 8 forces in this matchup. I like the idea. I don't know if my opponent's going to bring in the worm coils or not. I like the idea of just Dauntless Dismantle in this matchup. Serenity's a little slow, but probably still worth it. Needle seems good. Null Rod is great. Okay, maybe Serenity's garbage if we're doing Null Rod things. This is a hell of a sideboard for Jewel. So the question will be, do we need a swords in our deck? I feel like we want to trim on this. This stuff just doesn't matter, right? I feel like we just want to take all of this out. Like, who cares about strict Proctor plus Dreadnought when, like, the way we win this game is very, very straightforward. It's just counter their things and beat them with Lurrus, right? So I guess in that case, we can just play 3 swords for Worm Coils if they play Worm Coil and run with this. Play the control deck. The Jewel deck is very, very fragile. And if you just disrupt it in the meaningful ways, it's going to fall over. So... Okay. I got a cat. I got a Null Rod and a Mental Misstep. This is probably not good enough. I need to have a counterspell on turn 1. Don't think you can just, like, wing it and hope the Null Rod works. All right, this is much better. And then I think we'll just put the Needle on the bottom. Needle is, like, so I can fetch it off Saga and name Vault Key so I don't die kind of thing. That's basically it. Or if, like, I'm losing a Saga token somehow, which it shouldn't happen, seeing I have Dress Down and everything, but... All right, opponent has the PO draw. Another Opal, turn 1 activated. Ring. Yeah, don't think this Spell Pierce is going to be online, so... Let's negate this. And then I kind of just need to draw a blue card, right? I drew Swords. That's a classic outing if I'd ever seen one. Does wastelanding them restrict them in any meaningful way? If they had a Jewel, they could have just cast a Jewel on turn 1, right? So I'm gonna say no, it doesn't, and I'd rather just play Saga. Classic draw Swords to Plowshares against the combo deck because you don't know if they brought in Wormcoil or not is very fun. But also, like, if this was a Dreadnought or a Proctor, like, I guess maybe we should have just kept the Proctors in for the Jewels. I kind of forgot about how that was a thing. All right, so now we need to draw a Null Rod. They had a second ring. I think we're going to lose this game. They had too much mana and too many threats. If we had a third blue card, or a second pitchable blue card, that would have been fine. Tinker? Yeah, okay. Kind of want to see, like, the deck play out a little bit more and see if they did board in any Wormcoil defense grid stuff. I do think that, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to play Prospector or I keep saying Prospector. I'm so sorry. They're going to be so mad at me. I wouldn't be able to play Proctor or Dreadnought, but let's board out Swords and play Proctors instead. I think we'll play 4 Proctor and we'll have 1 Dreadnought that we can tutor for. Mental Misstep is pretty garbage. I kind of forgot about it being in my deck, and then I don't even need Probe, so something like this seems better. I don't think any of these changes would have, like, legitimately helped me in any way in that game. We would just, like, they had a nice 7 and we didn't have the requisite cards to beat it. This hand's sick, though. This hand's got a counterspell and a turn 2 Null Rod, so just slam that one. We want to draw both our cards before their turn, or before they do things, so let's just take a look at what our card is going to be. Time Walk, blue card. What is their card going to be? They kept 7. They have a Force. Uh-oh. That's not good. They end up with Force blue card, and we don't have the ability to play through it. Things could be bad. Hopefully they don't turn 1 kill us here. Oh, okay. Saga, Manifold Key. Okay, so now we should be good, because they can't really realistically have Force blue card. So they might have a 1 Force for our Null Rod here. I have a Null Rod. Force blue card. Pitching PO. Force blue card. Pitching Lorien. Null Rod Resolvers. So now they need an Ancient Tomb. Just play this Sapphire out. And then we're playing a Saga battle, where their Saga completes first. But they don't have as many artifacts at the moment. We also have a Lurrus coming, though Lurrus doesn't do very much with baubles being turned off. You have a Time Walk. Lotus. Null Rod is so broken. They don't even have a land follow-up. Null Rod is just so good in this matchup. Very clear way to win if you want to. Ooh, nice negation up as well. I guess if they have a needle in their deck, I have to activate now, so might as well. This goes away and turns into something that's null rotted, so that's great. So they have just no mana at the moment, and we have either 1 or 2 constructs, depending on if they have a needle or not. And a counterspell on their turn. Should just be lethal. This is just like the power of putting null rot in your sideboard if you actually want to beat Jewel. Yeah. Nice deck. Jewel is a very powerful deck. Very, very powerful deck, but that's fine. Not a deck that is very robust. I like calling it Oops All Spells Plus, because definitely has an ability to grind in a way that Oops All Spells doesn't. But it's still at its core just doing Oops All Spells things. Do we want to needle something? Is there anything valuable to needle? Not really. Just put a Black Lotus in play. 4/4. I can buy a Lurrus next turn. I don't know how we lose this game, realistically. Island Chain of Vapor, maybe? Trying to think, like, how we could lose the game. Feels like a way that maybe could happen. Oh, I guess Tolarian Academy is the way we lose this game, but we can't really do anything against Tolarian Academy unless we... The only thing we can do against Tolarian Academy is draw Wasteland, so... I think the out to Null Rod is always Tolarian Academy, right? Workshop. Oh, I guess they can have Workshop Metamorph. Workshop Trinisphere. That I don't think we care about. So if I draw... No, now I can't draw Time Walk stuff. Strip Mine. So I can play Lurrus, and it's lethal. And I guess I'll just Strip Mine to make that happen. I have Time Walk too, so... They can still draw Tolarian Academy and maybe play a Ring or something, or Tolarian Academy Metamorph, but... Alright, once more into the Abyss. Well... It's probably unlikely my opponent will play the Abyss, but I have seen it before. Cyberpunker used to play the Abyss. Someone used to play the Abyss. So I have a hand that has multiple draws, has answers to a creature, and has 2 counter spells. I'm going to keep this. Maybe this is wrong. If this is wrong, I don't want to be right. I mean, it's probably wrong. Oh, they're on Lurrus. Okay, this place sucks. Well, maybe this place is great. It's not good. I mean, I play around Wasteland by having no lands. So maybe it's actually great. If my opponent had played turn 1 Lavinia there, though, things would have been bad. All right, well, I think this is, funnily enough, because we got these Moxen in play, I think this is pretty playable. Definitely, oh, it's the Esper version. Definitely hating on myself for what I've chosen to do here, but is what it is. We're here for the long run. All right, got a Wasteland to answer a Saga. They have a Wasteland to answer a Wasteland, maybe? Put a Lurrus in their hand. Misty. I think I would rather just Wasteland their Tundra. I have Dreadnought as an answer to Saga, so hitting them off of the ability to play Lurrus and seems reasonable here. Kind of think I like my spot better, which is weird, but... Well, Saga Gaming. I was baited and outsmarted. Now they get a Lurrus. Okay, I was wrong. I was supposed to hold the Wasteland and play the fetch land. I was wrong. I mean, I can answer all these construct tokens, so it's not like the end of the world or anything, but... All right, I am going to go get a basic island and hold open my ability to get a Tundra off of this rainforest. I am a little behind, but I'm not losing. I might take a nice hit from a construct token here so that I can play an end step dress down, killing the construct tokens, and then untap and Dreadnought. That would be sweet. That would be pretty awesome. I hope they just like invest fully into constructs. It makes sense for them to invest into constructs here. There's really nothing saying that I have an answer. I do, but... So my opponent does have Lotus Lurrus, though, for what it's worth. I actually can't stop that. I mean, I can kind of stop that, but... My Spell Pierce looks a little bad. Don't have to answer that right away, either, so... Again, I think I'm just waiting off one hit here, and then I'm going to go for... Maybe the Hardcast Force or something. Let's go for the end step dress down plan. Kill off these constructs. We know their hand contains an Orcish Bowmaster and 4 unknowns. It's kind of hard for this to be countered. I guess that does work. All right, I will make sure this resolves. I think I'm still interested in having the Spell Pierce. So they fluster... Oh, they force? Oh. Okay, well... That's pretty bad. Because now I have nothing. What the... Okay, well, I got punished in basically every conceivable way. Holy shit. Okay, well then. I thought my plan was really good, but my opponent did not agree. So that's bad. Huh. My Spell Pierce was really bad. If I had kept a mental misstep, at least the Lurrus would be dead. And they're playing a Bowmaster here. I can't even... I'm just gonna die. Wow. Huh. I did not expect to get force misstepped, knowing my opponent had 5 cards in hand, 1 being a Bowmaster. Oh, this just does kill me? No. Close. They drew Saga off the top? Alright. I'm not cut out for this Lurrus Saga mirror thing, huh? That was not a good draw. I needed to draw a Proctor there so that I could go Lurrus, Proctor, Dreadnought, and then I actually have blocks. Not good blocks, but I have blocks. Okay, I mean, I thought I had a pretty good plan in that game, and my plan was drastically foiled. Though, I think the main thing is, maybe I overestimated my plan, and I just needed to wasteland the Saga instead of the Tundra. Like, I didn't know they had a Saga, obviously, but, yeah. I think if I had to do this game over, I would have simply not wastelanded the Tundra, and I would have just held it for Saga. I felt like I was in a pretty good position to, like, have them put mana into a Saga and come out ahead. Like, you saw what we were going to do. We were going to dress down, wipe their board, play untap, play a 12-12, right? Their opponent's deck was not beating a 12-12 there, but it didn't really work out. I like Soul Guide Lantern here. I like Dauntless Dismantler here. I like Swords to Plowshares here. I don't like Negation here. I don't really like Spell Pierce here. I wonder if I'm supposed to play... Definitely supposed to play Needle. Trim a Bauble. I definitely want Seal for Saga. Maybe we can bring in Null Rod. Feels like we could. 4, 8, 10, 18. We're almost at the point where we don't even want blue card, or don't even want Force. What if we, like, take out Soul Ring, Bauble, and play Null Rod, Null Rod? Kind of seems sick, actually. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can approach this. I think I just got too greedy, and I should have just waited on my Wasteland, played my Fetch Land, and we would have been in a great spot in that game. I still think we were in a pretty good spot. My opponent kind of had to have exactly what they had to win, but, you know, if they have it, right? So... All right, we'll see what my opponent does. If they Wasteland us, we probably won't do anything. If they don't Wasteland us, we can go for a Brainstorm, upkeep Lorien if we want. Try to up our worthwhile card count here. They've got a Mox and a Saga. All right, well, we're definitely going to do that, considering we have no Wasteland in our hand. And they have a Demonic Tutor off of Jet. Sick. Well, that's bad. All right, found our Wasteland. Let's put back Tundra Fetch. And then cycle. I guess it doesn't really do that much, but I have to Wasteland this turn, so. All right, so I assume they're going to go Island Ancestral here off of their natural Jet Demonic Tutor. Oh, Sapphire Ancestral. Better. Nice. Sapphire Saga Ancestral? Oh, they went for Lotus. Oh. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah. I am probably just never going to play a Lurrus Saga Mirror in my life. This feels like not great for the home team. So I am going to go for Needle. I'm just going to Needle Urza Saga. And then I'm going to have a Caracas in play. And I'm going to bounce this Lurrus now so that it makes them... I don't know. If I wait, then they get extra Lotuses, right? So I'll just bounce it now. I mean, I'm losing horribly, right? It's very clearly losing horribly. Yeah, that is the downside, but the upside is we're not... I mean, the problem is they're gonna freaking get a bobble. Oh. Okay. Once they have a bobble, things are bad. That's why I have the Null Rods in our deck. Look how good Null Rod would be on this board. Mm. All right, well, I'm going to play this Saga so I can go get a Lantern. This thing blocks. I'm so far behind because my opponent had much better cards than me. 2 Sagas. Demonic off of Jet. Does kind of feel like a very Mox-dominated game. I did opt not to play, like, Jet Demonic. I definitely think that the newer Esper builds are a bit better set up than blue-white or blue-black. The white cards are just necessary to give you enough range to interact with the field, and the black cards are just powerful. Your deck is kind of not the most powerful deck, so you kind of want those powerful cards. Oh my god, am I going to get a Bowmastered? They can even pay for it. I guess this is another instance where the Thrall would be better. No, the Thrall couldn't block this thing, right? Oh, all right. Doesn't really matter because my opponent is simply drawing 2 cards a turn and taking extra turns, and it's not good. Strip mine, huh? Yup. I don't know. This just doesn't feel like it was a winnable game. Like, my opponent just had better cards, right? Game 1, it felt like I made a mistake and I could have won the game if I had just played better. But I feel like some of these matchups are just really, really based on who drew their power. Wasteland's included in that power. All right. Well, I have not much going on. Can I have a 12-12? No, I cannot have a 12-12. Noted. Force pitching force. Does this get better for me? Not really, considering my opponent can draw a card every turn with their Nihil Spellbomb, which is what I wanted to do with my Lantern. I think Lantern's probably better than Spellbomb because of the ETB. But I would have had Proctor for the ETB, so maybe I'm wrong. Snow-covered island. Blue. Is this a Delve spell? I'll just concede to a Delve spell. It's not really worth me playing this game out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm upset about game 1 because I think game 1 was something that I could have changed. I could have made very significant changes to my gameplay that would have changed the course of the game. Game 2, whatever. Sometimes you get vintaged. All right, here we go. 5th and final round of this vintage league. I think the deck has performed okay, but the pilot could have been a little bit better. This is another one of those hands that I think I'm just like willing to accept. On the draw, I would be a little bit happier, but like I have multiple draws, Force of Will, Ancestral. I don't know. These are like, I think maybe I definitely have a problem where I have a lot of built-in combo heuristics that I try to apply to controlling decks, but like, oh, interesting. So they're on Dredge. Why are we playing against mono Dredge? Well, the good news is I have a Wasteland, so that's the good news. The bad news is they get to know about it. I don't know if like knowing my top card is like I can't do anything about my top card, so maybe knowing my top card is completely useless. I just know their top card, even though I think it's also probably fairly useless. But like if they had like a hollow one, then maybe I know they have a hollow one. So the cards I play in this game probably don't matter as much as the cards my opponent has. They had a what, 6-card hand? Double Dredger, pitched Bazaar. They pitched Bazaar? Let's protect my Ancestral. That means they have an answer to this. It means they have a Noxious Revival. They got my Force out of my hand. So maybe I'm supposed to let them. Well, I didn't draw the land that I was hoping for, so I think we just simply die. When your deck has no like oops all spells, or not oops all spells, it has no combo kill Wait, what? Oh, they just had a double Bazaar hand, so they discarded the third Bazaar. Aha! I'm having fun. It's a good time. People were telling me that it's a bad thing that Dredge decks are only 10% of the metagame now and just like okay win rates. And I'm like, no, I think that's a good thing. Maybe it was a bad thing that Dredge had more than 10% of the metagame. Wasteland. I need a Wasteland right now. Even then, it might just be too late. God, I've just been bullied. All right. I wasn't going to win this game anyways, because my draw didn't really pan out the way I was hoping it would. But maybe I'm just like never supposed to keep that. All right, well, the good news is I have some sideboard cards. The bad news is I don't have enough sideboard cards, and they're not that good. I don't know. I kind of think that these decks should just play 4 ley lines in their sideboard. I mean, maybe the answer is just play 4 containment priests, but... So what were we doing last time? We were playing something like this, and then we were taking out this and probe. I kind of wanted to take out these, right? So was I playing what? This? How did I do this? Something like that. Like these spells are too slow. And then negation is dead. And then once we take out all those blue cards, it's like better to just take out force, right? And we'll like leave open spell pierce to protect our things from vigor. Also, it's like really annoying playing force against for grief. I don't know if that's like a good enough reason, but it's something that I've noticed a lot when I play these decks. And it's like, oh, I have force, but they have grief, and like, I don't know. Though spell pierce doesn't hit grief at all, so. Kind of think I just like prefer throwing down my answers and hoping they work, but maybe that's a stupid thing to do too. We do kind of overload their vigor a little bit with like Dreadnoughts and Sagas and Cages and stuff, but maybe not enough. Your Containment Priests also get a lot better if you don't cut your extra Moxen. Something worth noting about some of the most recent builds of Lurrus Saga have like trimmed off-color Moxen. I think off-color Moxen are just like way too good not to play in your Lurrus Saga deck. You have to like make sure you can Lorien Revealed to cast your spells, and you know you want your Saga tokens to be larger, and you need to be able to like make constructs. By Lurrus, I don't know. I feel like cutting Emerald and Ruby from these decks is not something I would do, but I guess like that's always been a thing. Like, should control decks play off-color Moxen? I think like just the answer is just yes to like keep up with the power of the format, right? But others would disagree. This hand has a needle on the play, which is basically the best thing you can possibly have. If my opponent has a force or a vigor or interactive ability, then it's bad. If not, it's good. They're on a mull to 4 though, so this could be a very, very powerful needle. On a mulligan to 2, on a mulligan to 1. I guess they missed on a Bazaar, which is not very likely. Let's take a peek, see if they have a Bazaar or not. They did. They found a Bazaar on their last one. That'd be a shame if someone said you're not allowed to use that Bazaar. But they might play it out just to see more of my deck if they don't think I'm on Lurrus Saga, which would be reasonable. I think that's fine. I don't think it matters that they know that we're not on exactly Lurrus Saga. They're just going to try to draw up to 8 and discard to hand size or find Vigor green card. We don't have any counter spells, so certainly something to that. Though at some point, if they find Vigor green card, we can rebuy with Lurrus if they don't have like grief right away here. Though Strict Proctor protects from grief. Oh, hello there. Right? Grief is an ETB. Okay, that's kind of sick. I guess so would Thrall, to keep that in mind for the thing we've been thinking about the whole time. So that's kind of cool. Didn't really matter, but I guess I can't get my Lurrus grief now, which is kind of an upside, right? Kind of an upside. No Sagas, no Wasteland. Oh, there's a Wasteland. I guess I'll just hold on to this Lorien Revealed, like... We can loop dress downs. If they vigor us this turn, they get 1 bizarre activation. Don't know if that's enough with all my swords. But they are stopping at every point in this turn, so it's possible that they are looking to end step vigor now. Nope. Just stopping. Maybe they have a sickening shoal. Maybe they're just making me think, which is good. I like thinking. Pearl. All right, well, Pearl lets me cast Lorien, so let's cast Lorien. A little bit better than cycling a dress down. All right. Any reason to cycle a dress down now? Yeah, the reason is if I draw Saga. Okay. Well, I have a lot of stuff in play. None of it is particularly good. Opponent is just drawing cards until they can get to eat. Upkeep. Vigor. Sure. You do know I have a Lurrus, yeah? They did not. They did not. So if they do it at end step, they will get to go Bizarre and activate. Because I'll probably, or even like before end step, I can like play a dress down out of my graveyard. Actually, I guess I would, because I wouldn't do it end of turn. So I'd like on my second main phase, I might play a dress down, and then at that point they could vigor. Yeah, don't think it matters very much for what it's worth, but oh, my hair is doing a thing, huh? Oh boy. All right. Okay. I have a cat. I beat Dredge in a game. This hand is not going to beat Dredge. Let's mulligan. This hand may beat Dredge. I kind of have a feeling it won't, but I feel like it's hard to pass up this hand, so maybe I'm supposed to pitch the other Tundra. I mean, I have a Wasteland. That's the most important card. I don't have any of my other hate pieces, but I have an Ancestral. So they have a Stinkweed Imp in their yard to natural Dredge. Do they have a Noxious Revival? They do. That's bad. That is definitely bad. So natural draw, then Dredge. I don't know. Like, am I supposed to mulligan until I find like better hate? I don't think so. But I am certainly dead. Two amalgams come in. Can't even answer them right away because I'd like to cast this Ancestral Recall. I'm gonna hold the Lorien. I guess I don't have a force in my deck, so what reason is there to hold the Lorien? Maybe I'm supposed to be taking out like one of these lands. Lotus. Lotus lets me cast either 2 swords right now or maybe Lorien. Or maybe Lurrus. I think the answer is I'm supposed to wait. If they like vigor me with their last 2 cards, then I'll just swords. Is that what's happening? No. Because like I still need to wait. I need a graveyard clear. I assume they kept a card in their hand by dredging here, so they have something. They have some kind of interaction. I think this is fine. So They have interaction. Maybe they have force of will. Bizarre. Creeping Chill, multiple Icarids. 2 cards left in hand. I'm gonna die. This is not good enough. I don't know what I was doing there. I think I just have to cast Lorien Revealed and hope to hit Mox Cage, I guess. Because I'm actually just dead. Oh, I'm super dead. Okay. So if I had cast Lorien and drawn Mox Cage, let's see if that happens. I feel like I played these matches against Dredge really bad. Though I was working on not a lot of that. So there's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that would get me killed too. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess I have to mulligan and like have more than a wasteland. I just don't have that many cards that are good, right? Like the number of cards that are actually good are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 cards other than wasteland, so like double the number of cards. I have like 10 cards in my deck that are actually good. That's like not enough to beat Dredge. Dredge, you need way more than that. So, and maybe I'm just supposed to mulligan. Like if you mulligan too low, you just like get griefed. Don't know. If I was on the play, we'd be in a better spot because then we would have Ancestral and like the problem is like I have to spend a whole land drop playing Wasteland. I can't cast my Ancestral, right? So we didn't get to show off this deck's capabilities too well. That's kind of what happens if you face Dredge in a league. But you can see what is happening. We had a nice matchup where the Strict Proctor was annoying against Jewel. That was pretty cool. We did put a Dreadnought in play, right? Or nah? Did we never do that? Maybe another video sometime, because this deck I think is totally reasonable right now. Like theoretically, I kind of think this deck might even be pretty good into other Lurrus Saga decks because you have like a pretty powerful go over the top engine. I kind of think that the Strict Proctor is worse than the Thrall. So when that card comes out, which is on Tuesday, maybe you try this deck again with Thrall instead of Proctor. What do you lose out on? You lose out on lands that have trigger abilities like Bojuka Bog, but not Saga. Saga is not a triggered ability based on entering. You lose out on enchantments that have a triggered ability. I don't know. I feel like artifact and creature cover, like if it was only creatures, I can definitely see this card being better than like a Hushbringer, because stopping artifacts enter the battlefield does seem good. So maybe if we only care about artifacts, really, then just simply turning off their ability to trigger seems better. So maybe the Doorkeeper Thrall should replace the Proctor, unless I think of some other things that we're missing. But I guess theoretically Mystic Sanctuary, which we did technically see in our league in the mono blue deck. Either way, I guess this was a 2-3. It didn't go like unreasonably poorly. It's just I think Dredge is basically the best Bazaar deck against these Lurrus Saga decks. If these decks want to beat Dredge, the answer is probably something like 4 ley lines in the board and just not Companion Lurrus in those matchups. I just think that like 1 Soul Guide, 1 Needle, 2 or 3 Containment Priest is just like highly insufficient at actually combating how powerful Dredge is. It just seems like they are all on for Noxious Revival probably for the Wasteland metagame, which makes sense. So it's very hard for like 1 Strip Mine to be worth it, or to not be worth it, to be enough. In the past, like there are been matches where I felt like if you just have a Strip Mine, you have a good chance of beating Dredge. But now, I mean, all of our Dredge opponents, like really, they shrugged off 1 Wasteland and they were able to Noxious. They would have a second Bazaar, and, you know, whatever. So things to think about moving forward, of course. Thanks Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to keep trying new and exciting things in Vintage. Hope you continue to watch. You can find more videos like this one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this YouTube channel. I will see you then.